All right, welcome back. There is a new young adult book out right now. It's perfect for summer. It's called Blackout.
There are actually 6 authors who helped write this. Tiffany D and Nic Stone are 2 that are joining us now to share more about this book and the great movement behind it. Welcome.
Thank you. We are excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Congratulations on the book. The first question I have is, how do 6 writers collaborate and get everything done and put it all in one book? How does that happen? That's amazing.
Well, it's like a major group project, right? But no, we're all like really good friends, and it was actually pretty easy. Donald Clayton came up with this amazing idea to tell a story full of love, and we all took a certain trope and we sort of ran with it. And I wrote a story that was basically the spine of the entire book, and we all interconnected, and it was fantastic.
So tell us a little bit about the movement behind Blackout. What does it mean?
Well, we really last summer wanted to create a story that gave Black teens some hope. You know, like, we're stuck in a global pandemic. We're seeing all of these tragic things happening to Black people, these unnecessary deaths. And a lot of these young people, they're out in the streets protesting, and we're trying to tell their stories and tell them that their lives matter. But typically we're doing it through the context of trauma. So the goal was really to use love as the backbone for something and to give kids some hope, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to follow 6 individual stories, but yet they're all intertwined. Is that the case?
Yep.
And is it a series?
No.
Not at the moment.
Not at all. Okay. All right. So I didn't know if it was going to go in like 6 installments. It's just we read it all at once. I mean, I think it's great because as a mom, we're trying to get everybody to read more this summer. So tell us, what do you think the teens are going to love about this book?
I think they're going to find a lot of light in it and like a lot of kissing, right? The goal was really to be like, hey, you can have a beautiful romance in the thick of some pretty dark circumstances. Like, that's kind of the overall metaphor. And I think they're just going to smile. It was fun writing a book where like nothing really sad happens, you know? It's just these kids, will they, won't they stories, all interconnected. Like, for instance, one of my characters is Tiffany's main character's little brother. Their dad is the bus driver on Angie's bus. So just, you see all of these ways that people are connected to one another, even when in separate places in the midst of a literal blackout.
Back in the summer when things get heated up. And I've been in New York City when there's been a blackout. It's a wild place, and love prevails in this particular story. How did you do it? Did one author write their part and then hand it off to the next author, who then handed it off to the next author? How did that all come together?
No, we actually all individually wrote our own stories on our own. And then when we realized, particularly my story is cut up into several acts, so it's sort of the interstitial within the other stories, we realized that we connect people through either family members, like Nic was mentioning, or through just like where they're at. Particularly my characters literally walk from Harlem back to Brooklyn, where they're from. And if you are a New York native or have ever been to New York, you know that is an incredibly long walk in the middle of a heat wave during a blackout where everything is off and turned off. So it was very important for us to kind of like show the breadth of actual New York. They stop in different places like Times Square, the New York City Public Library, Washington Square Park, and the Brooklyn Bridge. So we kind of hit all the major elements. But we were able to kind of sew it all together through our characters and sew it together actually through love.
You know, I love what both of you, I mean, it's really more than just a story, it's a movement. Nic, I saw one of the quotes that you said, there's no fiercer form of rebellion than telling love stories about kids who are often told they're unworthy, and that you guys went on to say this was as healing for you to write as it was for the reader. So it's really more than a story.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we hope. When the 6 of us all write young adult fiction, and we all write very different young adult fiction. You know, I'm typically writing stories about struggle and trauma. Like, I write stories about kids trapped in the juvenile justice system and kids dealing with racism in the classroom. Angie Thomas, we know, is the author of The Hate U Give. Ashley Woodfolk writes these very angsty love stories where there's often a lot of loss. Danielle writes beautiful fantasy stories, but typically with some kind of social issue at the center. Tiffany writes these thrillers that just make you want to like throw your book across the room. It's my favorite thing about her. And then Nikki Yoon, she's the person who is typically writing the love stories. So really what we're trying to do in bringing all of our different voices together is show that there are so many different ways not only to love, but to like be a Black kid, you know? Black childhood is wildly important. And it's something that often gets kind of snatched from us pretty early just because of the way the world functions. So helping kids to see that like you are worthy of love, you're worthy of joy, you are worthy for the big, giant love story where you have a crush and you don't know if your crush likes you back. Like you can have those stories and those experiences too.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate your time, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you. Thanks
so
for having us.
Our pleasure.
Again, the book is called Blackout. It is available now in stores and online.